Hi, my name is Dr. Tony Mwansa, the chairman of the Nairobi Innovation Week 2016, and this is the Innovation Show. We use the Innovation Show as a platform to engage a little more closely with opinion shapers, policymakers, business leaders on the subject of innovation, thinking through the innovation ecosystem, thinking through the pipeline of innovation, the various ingredients, the components, the impact of innovation. And that way we strengthen our ecosystem, we strengthen our partners, and we build a better nation for our own prosperity. So today I have the honor and privilege of hosting one of my greatest friends in this space. You know, we joke a lot about this subject, we think a lot, we challenge each other. My brother Ronald Osumba, who is currently the chair of the Youth Enterprise Fund. I knew Ronnie from a while when he was at Oracle, and we used to talk about the same things, and it seems like whether you're in private sector or government, your passion remains. So good to see you, Ronnie, here.
Thanks, Doc.
Great.
Asante sana, the conversation continues.
Conversation continues.
Absolutely.
Now I have two questions for you.
Yes, sir.
They're very simple. Question number one is, you're passionate about education. I saw your, through your life in private sector setup, you're passionate about education, how it's delivered, and the expected outcome. Now, we are here trying to promote youth enterprise. We're trying to promote innovative thinking. We're trying to promote, collaborative, futuristic thinking. And education and how it's delivered is a key component. So what are your thoughts about the current education, the expected education, the future of our country, the when children are being nurtured, university students, generally, broadly, education system in connection to youth innovation and entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me here, and thanks for inviting me for the Innovation Week. I think very inspiring, very powerful conversations going on. I think if we follow through and invest in them, Kenya is headed for good places. It's interesting that you combine my passions of youth, education, innovation, technology, and all these things. But I think one of the shortcomings we have had, over the last 40, 50 years of this great republic is that our education system has failed in itself to be innovative. And I think we are year on year producing what now? 1 million, 1.2 million kids into the job market, specifically to look for jobs. So our training, our socialization through the entire education system, through the entire education pipeline, is focused on building us for jobs. And while that in itself might not be a challenge, I think the challenge is that the industry and economy is not producing sufficient number of jobs to absorb this whole population of 1.2 million. And then it therefore calls upon us to be a bit innovative. And I think one of the things we need to invest in is to relook at our education system and say, instead of taking these kids through this process that prepares them with a specific mindset for jobs as a doctor, as an engineer, as a communication specialist, we need to start thinking about an education system that spurs the creative juices of young people to start thinking, with this education that I have received, how can I then be creative and innovative in its application? Therefore, when I come out of the funnel, I am not looking for a job. I am seeking to create, to reinvent, to re-engineer, to redesign, because that is what innovation is all about. And it is in that space of innovation that we are then going to be able to absorb. Because look at it this way, there are as many innovative ideas as there are people. In Kenya, with 40 million Kenyans, we can have 40 million ideas about the same thing, only if our creative juices are spurred. And I think then we need to relook at our education system in terms of innovation. And I'm a big fan of innovation, man. And the generation that I belong to, Generation Y, Generation Z, does not like status quo by nature.
Yes.
I mean, these are guys who are born with an iPad. The doctor who's, taking their pulse and stuff like that is carrying an iPad.
Yes.
I mean, they're born into that space right from day one. And therefore, they don't like status quo. They like to reimagine things. They like to create. They like to disrupt. They like to challenge. And I think we then need to use this energy and this very intrinsic nature of our youth to move them towards the innovation space, because that's really what innovation is about. And I think, you know, from a government perspective, we are now challenged to think about how to bridge this employment gap. We are challenged in the sense that how do we create an enabling space, a cool space, it has to be cool. A cool enabling space to allow our young people, particularly, and I'm big on this, the age 18 to 24, because this is where we have the demographic dividend opportunity. How do we harness this demographic dividend? By creating cool spaces where creative juices can be sparred, but where the platform is also ready to absorb. So, you know, for example, we're thinking about how to invest in enterprise hubs across the country. You know, start small, then scale. But these enterprise hubs will then have enabling platforms, whether it is, you know, a coach, a mentor, ICT platforms, you know, training facilities. And when we talk training, we're not talking about business skills training, because that's the other fault I have seen, you know, in the market today. When we talk about enterprise development or enterprise skills development, really what we're talking about is business skills development, bookkeeping, you know, business plan, how to do a marketing strategy. No, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is enabling these young people to absorb the information, the knowledge that they're getting from their environment, and how to create an opportunity out of that information that they're getting, and generate ideas on how to commercialize the gap. And I think this is really what innovation is about. You know, I've been to Dandora, I've been to Kwanza in Kitale, I've been to many places, and a lot of young people are saying, you know, I want to go to Eldoret town, I want to go to Nairobi city and set up a business. And I tell them that's not enterprise. Enterprise is actually where you're seated in Kwanza, looking for the opportunity. And I sat with a few of them and I said, let's think about it, guys. How do you sell your milk? Just this milk. They say they take it to some guy at the corner. That guy takes them wherever he takes them, and he gives them 30 bob at the end of the day per liter. And I said, do you know, if you managed to be innovative to get your milk to the real market, which is in Eldoret, you'd make 60 bob. I said, wow, how? I said, let's do this. Let's come up with an aggregator model for the village. We will enable you to build a shelter. We will put in a cooler or a freezer. We'll get you containerized packages for dairy products. And all of you in the morning, with all your 10 liters, 15 liters there, will come and pour into this containerized storage facility. You'll have 100 liters.
How was the reaction?
I mean, it was mind-blowing for them. And I'm thinking, for them, that's innovation. For me, I mean, I don't see innovation there. But in that space and in that village and for that specific moment, that's innovation. And that's what we need to encourage.
So people are limited because of the kind of environment they are, the kind of exposure they've received. And what you've done is that you just kind of bring something that is so obvious to yourself, but it's wow. And you're even wondering, why didn't they see like that?
Exactly. You're thinking, why haven't you seen this?
How did you think
How did you think of this?
Right?
But it's the exposure.
So if you're able to take the exposure to them and then promote critical thinking, questioning. You know, there's someone who just taught me recently that don't employ people because they have papers. Employ them because they ask you right questions. Good questions, smart questions. And it means they're critically thinking. So if you can strengthen critical thinking in people, then you can expect ideas. You know, I read a book recently called Where Do Good Ideas Come From? Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing how the author argues about commingling of ideas, commingling of mission statements. You may have been thinking about something else and someone else is thinking about something else. One day you meet and you're like, boom, how did that happen? Because there was a need and someone probably supplied it and some information connected.
Absolutely.
In fact, there's a very other illustration that is used between a pub and a room where someone is seated and thinking, and in a pub where people are just having a beer and talking. Where do you expect good ideas to emerge?
In the pub.
In the pub. So create that kind of environment.
And this is what I'm talking to you about, Doc. I'm saying we want to create cool spaces.
Yes.
And this cool And you know, it's very interesting because recently I was talking to Giuliani, the artist, and you know, Giuliani was telling me some of his best ideas. He had invested in a nice, cool office, you know, where he would go and work.
Yeah.
But he realized that some of his best creative moments
Yes.
were when he was having coffee at Java. So he realized at the end of the day, he didn't need to invest in brick and mortar.
Right.
Every time he needed to create and produce, he just went and spent 2, 3, 4 hours at Java, having coffee. And these are the kind of cool spaces we need to invest in to begin to, you know, harness these creative juices in our kids. But like we started off by saying, it needs to start with the schooling and with the education system. So I guess this is a challenge to us as government. It's a challenge to the Minister of Education and his team to look at curricula and say, while we need you to have some very basic mathematical, scientific knowledge, what we really need out of you is artistic knowledge.
Right.
You know, that creates and produces and naturally it flows.
You know,
And that's
it's interesting.
That's the way forward.
It's interesting how the nature of the classroom changes from the time we are age 5, 6, whatever,
Yes.
to the time we are age 17, 18.
Yes.
Look at how the classroom structure changes.
Yes.
When you're in kindergarten, you used to have a round table. You used to look at each other.
Yes.
And you used to play with
You play with stuff.
There were things written on the
It was
wall.
not instructive. It was
it's not
playful.
Playful. Nice. Then you got into class 1 and somebody just turned you all to one direction. Removed the things from the wall, but gave you a nice desk.
Yes.
So you can start looking at
Yes.
things. You go to somewhere class 5, the desks were removed and you were told carry the bags back home for your homework and come
Yes.
back. And then all of a sudden, the things were removed from the wall, it became flat, plain.
Yes.
By the time you're in university, it's approximately the same.
It's actually regimental.
Hard stuff. Nobody
Hard
cares
stuff.
about your feelings.
Yes.
Hard stuff now. You spend 4 years looking at one guy in front there, talking to you.
And telling you the same thing
Yeah.
in different ways.
Different ways for 4 years in a box. We kill your own creativity.
We kill it.
So there is an argument by one of the greatest authors I have read about education and innovation. It says, education seems to kill creativity. It seems to get the as we go further in the education system,
Yes.
we seem to be reducing the opportunity to be creative.
Absolutely. And that is why our educationists, you know, and I'm challenging you as well because you're one of them, we need to begin to become creative.
Yes.
Education needs to move to the next
and
level.
by the way, funny enough, when you leave university and go and get that job that you described, it is also
It's also like that. And let me tell you, the other day, you know, and I talk to industry a lot because right now, of course, the whole mandate of the enterprise fund is to bridge the unemployment gap. And one of the things we are experiencing in every conversation we are having is that employers today are actually struggling to find employable skills. Because what they're saying is, fine, you've gone to the university, you've gotten your degree in communication, how do you help me if you cannot construct a communicative statement? Irrespective of what you were taught in school. Because communication is a skill, it comes natural to many people.
Yes.
Many people never went to communication school. But they are brilliant communicators. That's the guy they'll employ, not the guy who has a degree in communication skills. And that goes for many other things. I mean, we had SGR, for example, and SGR were looking for specialists to do riveting for this new standard gauge rail. And they have struggled to find experts locally who can. Yet we are producing multitudes of engineers from our universities, but they can't rivet the rail. They can't rivet the standard gauge.
They know what it is.
They know, they even
but
can
doing
do
it-
for you the mathematics in terms of, you know, at what angle the rivet goes in, but they can't actually practically do it. What do the Chinese do? They go and import the skill from China. So we are missing out on opportunities, not because we are not producing enough, but we do not have sufficient employable skills.
Well, great. I see a very good connection between what you've been doing in the past and what you're doing now. Now you have the mantle
Indeed, I cannot speak too much now.
Yes, now
Now I
you
have
cannot
to
speak, you have the power of the pen. You can execute, you know what to execute, and you're going to create that enabling environment through the Youth Enterprise Fund. I really like the way you've positioned the Youth Enterprise Fund. It's not about giving money.
No.
No. If you just do that, we will repeat the same things.
We'll still make the same mistakes.
In fact, government is not the guy to give money. You can give money, but you have to have very good frameworks with private sector thinking ahead, so you provide the logistical support and facilitation and appropriate environment. Awesome. So it's great. It's great to really have you, and you're strengthening our conversation around how do we make our innovation ecosystem stronger. So this is the innovation show, and we've had an opportunity to engage Mr. Ronald Osumba, one of my great buddies on this space, where we challenge the ecosystem, we challenge the conventional thinking, we challenge what we've always thought and the way we've always done things. And so this is part of the fresh blood in the government now, right? How do you feel in there?
I'm government.
Oh, you're government.
Sirkali.
All right, so one of the great innovators in government, and thanks very much
for
joining us.
Really appreciate it.
We keep going.
Looking forward to your support.
Thanks very much.
Asante.
So, you can follow us and you can engage with us in social media, our Twitter handle and Facebook and Instagram, TONNY'S, and our hashtag EngageOmwansa. Thanks very much. Till next time. Bye.